First, I want to say thank you to the high school friends. I only knew Mr. Aymar as my teacher. I didn't know him as a friend. So it was really amazing to sit there and just hear the both of you share those silly stories. They were really touching. So hello everyone. My name is Lilly, and I'm one of the advisory board members for the Michael Aymar Foundation. I went to the same Catholic school that Mr. Aymar grew up in and eventually went back to teach at. I had him as a teacher and mentor in the 5th and 7th grade and would find myself going back to visit because three things. We were a very small community and I loved the St. Anthony School in Union City. They're no longer there. The school itself is no longer there. It does something else now. But St. Anthony's was home to me. And we were a small community, a small family, and Mr. Aymar and the faculty staff were all just very near and dear to my heart. I would go back to cope with the adolescent struggles of transitioning from an intimate Catholic school setting to a public high school setting. It is not easy going to a public high school from a very small Catholic school. I transitioned to Lodi High School in Lodi, New Jersey, and just going from wearing a uniform to knowing how to dress every day was extremely awkward and confusing, and I had no friends, and my one best friend followed me to Lodi High, and I was extremely grateful because we held each other's hands, and I would go back and talk to these teachers and Mr. Aymar, and I'm like, how do I do it? Like, I only have like one shirt and one pair of jeans. Like, in St. Anthony's you had to bring a can of food in order to participate in dress down day, and that was how you would dress up, and I didn't have clothes, so it was just going back and coping and talking to the teachers and the principal and then letting them know that everything was going to be okay. And talking to Mr. Aymar, he would share some insight on the next chapter in my life, and he would tell me some silly joke. And like anyone else, he would just tell me, you know, it's going to be okay. You will survive high school. Which was hard to believe at the time, but you know, looking back, I did survive and everything was great. I was a very shy kid growing up. And I'm standing here today, and I'm like terrified to public speak, but I'm here doing it. And the impact of his classrooms really helped me to open up tremendously through the way that he taught. He had a very interesting way of teaching his students. He had a very powerful way with his words, as everyone else has mentioned prior to me. And making our classroom space not seem so intimidating, which I greatly appreciated, as well as my classmates. It allowed us to express our thoughts and open up during our learning discussions. It was the way that he cared and really took the time to break things down for us. That it was like 13 of us in the class and all girls. There was like 5 guys, and kids go through different things in life, and everyone's dealing with things outside, and Mr. Aymar kind of grounded us and kept us back in the classroom, and he would just really take the time to share, you know, his lessons in a special way that really was very close to us. Whether it was through diary-inspired sessions that he referred to as stream of consciousness, or splitting the classroom up and doing debates on current events, or breaking down complicated poetry, he really allowed us to express ourselves beyond the pages of the standard textbook, which I think that me and my classmates all greatly appreciated as well. Another important impact that he had on his students was that he cared about what was going on at home, which was important, especially in today's timeline where kids are struggling with things and really serious things that are going on behind the scenes that no adult really takes the time to sit down with children and talk to them and care for them. And Mr. Aymar, he sat us all down, and he really, he cared. And he looked in our eyes, and it wasn't just through the, Edgar Allan Poe or the William Shakespeare. It was the way that he would read my stream of consciousness and say, hey, something's going on at home, are you okay? And he would check in, with all of his students, and that meant a lot to us. And I know in the video last year I said that he was like my American dad, and I really meant that. It came from a very warm, loving place, that he truly was my American dad, and I truly appreciated that. It meant a lot to a bunch of, it's actually my class back in 1999. But it meant a lot to a bunch of 8 to 12-year-olds who were just trying to grow, and we were all going through such different things, and he just really helped us grow into really wonderful adults. I still keep in touch with many of them to this day. My best friend is in the picture, and it was a really beautiful time. So we're here today because Mr. Aymar, in one way or another, impacted all of us. Whether you are family, close friends, or supporters of this beautiful foundation, he'd be so proud of everything that the foundation has accomplished in such a short amount of time. Helping his students and watching them transform is something that he truly cherished and took on with great pride. I graduated a very long time ago from St. Anthony's and still hold his fatherly love, his silly inside jokes, and influential mantras very, very close to my heart. I've had the pleasure of attending and participating in some of the workshops that Angela mentioned at the Montclair and West Orange Public Libraries with the Michael Aymar Foundation. And watching these kids break out of their comfort zones really brought me back to a time where I was just this like silly, quirky kid who like didn't know much about anything. And just the days where my favorite teacher, Mr. Aymar, inspired us always to just ask questions and speak out loud, even if your voice shakes. Just get out there, and that I still are some of the fundamentals that I hold very, very close to my heart. Mr. Aymar's spirit and teachings will remain with me for the rest of my life, and I truly want to thank all of the familiar faces and welcome the new ones who have come here today to support this great cause. This foundation has not only reconnected many people who have loved him so much, just as I have, but really helped change and transform Mr. Aymar's legacy and magical energy by changing the lives of children who are really willing to learn in an intimate setting, because that's what it's about. These workshops, the forensics team, all the debates, and just everything that the foundation has put together, it's a beautiful way for just, sometimes you have so many kids crammed in one classroom, you don't get the time to have that one-on-one experience, and we do that through the foundation. So I take great pride in saying that I back that up 100%. And I would just like to say, if everyone could just help me with a strong round of applause to all of the founders, you know, Mrs. Aymar and Nia and Peter and everyone who's just a great support of this foundation for all of their hard work. I'm sure that Mr. Aymar is not only extremely honored, but smiling from ear to ear somewhere. It's